Chapter 181. You dare to touch my man. Looks like there's a really good fight waiting for us. Hee hee, very good, I'm looking forward to it. Zoro licked his tongue with a look of anticipation. Yes, the next battle will be very exciting. Anna Vivi narrowed her eyes, then turned and walked towards the steel building. During this year, Anna and the others completely ruled Sky Island and became the uncrowned king here. All Sky Island people live under the shadow of Anna. Meanwhile, East Blue, Windmill Village. The descendants of a certain sinful bloodline have also gone to sea. Ace, wait for me, I'll come to you in 2 years. A certain young man with a straw hat shook his hand and said excitedly to the freckled young man in the sea. Oh, that's the deal, Luffy. Until then, I'll be waiting for you at sea. The freckled young man said to the young man on the shore. Okay, we've agreed, Ace. The Straw Hat Youth nodded heavily. Of course these two are none of the others. Straw Hat Youth Monkey, D. Luffy. Freckled Youth Portgas, D. Ace. Then I'm leaving, Luffy, see you in 2 years. Ace shook his hand, rowed the boat, and left. 4 Seasons Island. At this moment, outside the island, the ships of the warriors of 9 Snake Island slowly docked on the shore. They came to pick up Boa Hancock. But just as Marigo and the others set foot on 4 Seasons Island, they were surrounded by them just before they walked a long way. Black Armor Orochi, orange-maned lions, crimson soldier king ants, and all kinds of terrifying monsters surrounded Marigo and the others. Not good. At the moment when they were surrounded by this group of beasts, Marigo and others felt a chill in their hearts. The breath of these beasts is so tyrannical that they can almost suffocate. They immediately realized that any beast here could easily kill them. In the face of this group of beasts, it is impossible for them to resist at all. They all swallowed at the same time, despairing in their hearts. Are you going to die here? And the Black Armor Orochi is the most impatient. With a big head, he opens his mouth and bites away. Facing the Black Armor Orochi rushing over, Marigo didn't want to wait to die, so he attacked with a bow and arrow. However, her arrow wrapped in armament haki didn't even splash a spark on the Black Armor Orochi's scale armor, and it lost its power. It's over, Marigo said desperately in her heart. She couldn't help regretting why she brought this group of people ashore, when her mother-in-law had already told them that they couldn't go ashore, just wait on the boat. Black Armor Orochi, you dare. At this moment, an indifferent and majestic voice came over. The Black Armor Orochi, who was still ferocious and vicious the moment I saw it, actually made a whining sound and retreated the next moment, and then circled in panic. Not only the Black Armor Orochi, but other beasts who heard the sound couldn't help but tremble at the same time, and then all looked in the direction the sound came from. However, Shajirching and Hancock, who I saw, held hands and walked out together. They are my people, if you dare to hurt them, I will roast you all, understand? Shamliang looked at this group of beasts like a hill, and threatened with a smile. The beasts I saw, who were still breathing a moment ago, took 2 or 3 steps back in panic after listening to Shajirching's words. Chapter 182. I won't kill you if you pay. Ha ha ha, I'm joking, I've been with me for a year, you've worked hard. Shajirching's face changed faster than flipping through a book, and everyone such as Marigo looked stunned. Come on, don't do such a dangerous thing again next time. Shajirching glanced at Marigo, and after instructing her, he and Hancock walked towards the ship in the port. Is this the strength of Lord Shajirching? It's really terrifying, such a powerful beast, he was shocked by a word. Seeing Shajirching leaving, Marigo couldn't help but exclaim in her heart. 9 Snake Island. Natsu, my concubine also wants to go to sea with you, okay? Hancock grabbed Shajirching's arm tightly, and kept shaking as he asked. You are now the Emperor of 9 Snake Island, you are gone, what will Marigo and the others do? My dear, keep this 9 Snake Island, it will become a base for us in the future, it is more important to keep it than going to sea with me. Don't worry, I won't mess with flowers outside, and I'll come to see you often. Okay. Let Hancock follow him out to sea. Shajur-Ching felt that this was a bit high profile, and he was not mentally prepared yet. Moreover, Hancock is also the emperor of Nine Snake Island. She can't leave now. Nine Snake Island needs her to cover. No way, she really can't help herself. Okay, the concubine listens to you, but you must remember to visit the concubine more, you know. Otherwise, the concubine will not be able to eat. Hancock looked like he might have a relapse of lovesickness, and Shajur-Ching couldn't help sighing when he saw it. Following him, Hancock learned to be cunning. Okay, I promise you. Shajur-Ching kissed Hancock's cherry lips deeply, then raised his hand, appeared on a ship prepared in advance, and said, I'm leaving. After he finished speaking, thunder and lightning exploded all over his body, activating the power system of the ship, and then he drove away at a very high speed. Then, slowly disappeared in front of Hancock. Calm waters. Even the current Shajur-Ching did not dare to take it lightly in the face of the terrifying sea kings living in the windless belt. He released observation hockey, flexibly avoided the lair of the sea kings, and after a little effort, finally reached the great route safely. Wait for me, everyone, you are about to have your own nightmare. Shajur-Ching drove the ship towards Mock Town in the first half of the Great Route, where he planned to meet Anna and the others on Sky Island. Mock Town. Yo brothers, here comes something, start work. Just as Shajur-Ching drove the ship into the Mock Town range, he heard such a loud shout, and then he was surrounded by a group of pirate ships. Hey, there's actually only one kid, hee. It seems that this is another guy who doesn't have much oil and water. But it doesn't matter, we are not picky eaters, and we will not refuse anyone who comes. On one of the pirate ships, a pirate without his left arm looked at Shajur-Ching with a grim smile on his face. Rookie kid, hand over your treasures if you don't want to die. Gia, coming here is the worst choice you have ever made in your life. Yes, hurry up and hand over the money, otherwise, your life will be lost. Hurry up and hand over the money, don't force us to do it. A group of pirates echoed. Chapter 183 You are killing yourself. Oh, then it seems that I can only hand over the money, otherwise, I will die. After hearing this, Shajur-Ching showed a very interesting smile. Then, he whispered softly, it seems that I haven't appeared for more than a year, and someone has already forgotten me. PFF'd, kid. Don't talk like he used to be famous, who are you scaring? Hearing this, one of the pirate captains couldn't help but scoffed out in contempt. Scare, how can I be in this mood? Shajur-Ching stood up, and then cast a glance at them, I don't have the time to talk to you ants. Give you 10 seconds to get out of the way. Once 10 seconds pass, don't blame me for being merciless. You are merciless, ha ha ha, kid, you are so funny. I want to see, I won't let you go. What can you do to me? A slender pirate wearing a blue vest said contemptuously and proudly. What an arrogant kid, let me show you how good I am. A pirate captain carrying a cannon fired a cannon at Shajur-Ching in anger. Give me death, I'm Aegitus who is known to be a hit. The pirate captain, who was carrying the cannonball, looked at the cannonball quickly approaching Shajur-Ching, and said proudly. Shigan, finger pistol, Lebo. In the face of the incoming cannonball, Shajur-Ching stretched out his index finger and blasted out a lightning bomb, detonating the cannonball into the air. Time, 4 seconds have passed, you still have 6 seconds, do you really not let go? Shajur-Ching raised his eyelids, and his tone was already a little impatient. Why do I find this guy so familiar? I seem to have seen him somewhere. A pirate captain with a slightly shorter stature, looking at Shajur-Ching, couldn't help falling into contemplation. He felt that Shajur-Ching's face looked quite familiar. HMPH, 6 seconds. So what, kid, don't be too arrogant. The labor and management are the big pirates with a bounty of 10 million Baileys, the fluid man wire, don't let you know how powerful I am, do you really think we are made of mud? A stern-eyed pirate captain grinned Isho. Then, When he saw him stretch out his hand, it turned into a jelly-like shape, and he pulled it towards Shajurching's head. Anyone with special Paramesha Devil Fruit ability. It's interesting. Shajurching didn't mean to dodge at all, no one saw how he shot. Ah! Hearing the fluid man Va scream suddenly, his outstretched fluid palm was cut off. Moreover, it completely affected the entity, and Vaya's palm disappeared like this, and blood splashed endlessly. The rest of the pirates couldn't help but be surprised when they saw this. You must know that before this, no one had ever been able to hit Vaya's entity. But now, Shajurching did it so easily, they couldn't help but start to shrink back. But at this time, it is too late to have the idea of retreating. 10 seconds have passed, since you don't let go, then forget it. Shajurching glanced at them indifferently, and then dazzling thunder and lightning began to emerge from his body, and the loud noise was shocking. Seeing this scene, the thoughtful pirate captain finally remembered Shajurching's identity. Ray. However, just as he said these words, the entire sea was illuminated by terrifying thunder. Chapter 184. Do you have an opinion? Thunder escape. Heavenly tribulation. Thunder punishment. Shajurching's voice came faintly, and all the pirate ships were instantly shrouded in lightning and shattered. No. In the face of the thunder and lightning that fell from the sky, if these pirates haven't recognized Shajurching's identity, then they are really in vain. In the world, there is no one but Shajurching who has this form of attack. They wanted to beg for mercy, but the moment the lightning struck, they had already deprived them of all their abilities. Beg for mercy, it's just a luxury. In just 2 seconds, there was only the wreckage of a ship left on the sea, and black smoke was constantly bubbling up. As for people, it is completely invisible. Why, isn't it bad to get out of the way early? Isn't it delicious to live? Shajurching cast a glance at the wreckage on the sea and said indifferently. Just when he was about to start the ship and continue going. Who is the one who dares to touch me? At this moment, an angry and full of murderous voice came. But the hyena Bellamy I saw rushed over like a cannonball, with a fierce aura. It's me, what's the matter, Bellamy, do you have an opinion? Shajurching looked at Bellamy who rushed over and showed a big smile. Thunder Hunter Natsu. The moment she saw Shajurching's face, Bellamy's eyes almost bulged out. The last time he was defeated and knocked unconscious by Shajurching, he still had a deep psychological shadow there. Seeing Shajurching again, his whole body was almost frightened. Thunder Hunter, you are here. What are you trying to do? Are you looking for trouble with the Joker? Bellamy landed on a large deck, swallowing saliva constantly, his face full of panic. So what is it? What is it not? Can you manage it? You don't have that qualification. Shajurching glanced at Bellamy and said proudly. Damn. When Bellamy heard this, he clenched his fists angrily. After all, he is also the tyrant of this mock town. He is also a high-ranking existence on weekdays, but now he is so looked down upon by Shajurching, how can he accept it? Why, you don't agree? Shajurching appeared in front of Bellamy without warning. Under Bellamy's gaze, he grabbed his neck and picked him up. He didn't have time to resist. Shajurching's eyes instantly turned into blood-red three-hook jade, and then, a powerful wave rushed directly into his brain, making his consciousness weakened all of a sudden. The art of erasing memory. Shajurching said this, and then threw Bellamy to Mock Town. In the entire Mock Town, only Bellamy recognized his identity just now. In order to avoid unnecessary trouble, and not to leak the news of his reappearance so soon, it would be better to erase Bellamy's memory. Boom. There was a dull sound of explosion on the shore, which immediately attracted attention, and after a while, it caused a huge commotion. After all, Bellamina is the overlord of Mock Town, who can beat him so badly? People are very curious. Sky Island, here I come. Shajurching ignored the reactions of the pirates in Mock Town, and went to the end of Mock Town. At the same time, he took out the phone bug and dialed Anna's number. Upwelling, he may not be able to wait, so he can only let Anna and the others come to him. Chapter 185. You are finally back. Sky Island. Natsu-sama, why haven't there been any news yet? I'm really anxious to wait. Anna can't sit still. She can't sit still, let alone other people. In particular, Enel is the most unable to sit still, and I don't know how long it has been noisy. Bella Bara. Quote. At this moment, the phone bug on Anna's waist suddenly rang. Natsu-sama. Anna's first reaction was that it must be Shajir-ching's call. Mosamoxi, I'm Anna, Lord Naz, is that you? Anna resisted the excitement in her heart and asked. Hee, what, can't wait. The voice of Shajir-ching came from the phone worm, and the phone worm also transformed into the characteristic appearance of Shajir-ching. Anna felt relieved when she saw this. Come and pick me up, the upwelling current is not coming, I can't go up. Shajir-ching said helplessly, Isho. Hearing Shajir-ching's voice, Anna was immediately excited, and then quickly replied, Okay, Lord Nachi, we will start preparing immediately. Well, then that's it, the follow-up things, let's talk about it when I go to Sky Island. After Shajir-ching finished speaking, he hung up the phone bug. Can't I just say a few more words? I've been waiting for you for over a year, you bastard. Anna originally wanted to talk to Shajir-ching for a few more words, but as a result, who would have thought that Shajir-ching would hang up so quickly, she couldn't help but complain in her heart. An hour later. Under the gaze of some of the pirates in Mock Town, Shajir-ching rose into the sky, and then disappeared in front of them. Who is it that the people on Sky Island can come to greet him in person? Who are the people on Sky Island? It's amazing to be able to build such a large-scale team. While the residents and pirates of Mock Town were puzzled, they were also surprised. It's amazing how people can survive on Sky Island. Of course, they were just surprised and didn't spread the news. After all, they would never realize the importance of this news. Sky Island. Natsu-sama, you're finally back, it's great that you're all right. The moment Shajir-ching arrived, Anna threw herself directly into Shajir-ching's arms. With the look of a little woman on her face, she happily sniffed the breath on Shajir-ching's body, completely ignoring the weird faces of the people around her. Isn't it a bit bad to have such an influence? Shajir-ching looked at the people around, such as Enel, Zoro, or Dawu, and their strange expressions. Shajir-ching couldn't help scratching his head and said. In more than a year, Anna has become stronger not only in strength, but also in some places, and the curvature has also improved a lot, which makes Shajir-ching feel a little anxious. How can it be bad? I see who dares. When Anna heard the words, she didn't have the slightest idea of letting go. Instead, she swept around Enel and the others viciously and said. Under Anna's eyes, all these people I saw immediately retreated, just like Anna is some kind of beast, so they couldn't avoid it. Anna, you are getting more and more fierce. Shajir-ching said jokingly, looking at the reactions of Enel and the others, he couldn't help showing a meaningful smile. It seems that a lot of interesting things happened during the time he was away. Anna immediately said in a coquettish anger, How come, Lord Naz, haven't I always been kind and amiable? In this regard, Shajir-ching couldn't help but Isho, there was no response. Chapter 186. The first person to eat crabs. I'm very satisfied to see your current state. I won't say anything else. I think you can't wait. If that's the case, then pick up the guy and let's go, our revenge journey begins. Shajir-ching looked at Enel, who couldn't wait, and said excitedly. It's long overdue, let's go, I can't wait. Hearing Shajir-ching's words, Enel immediately said excitedly. Is it finally here? I'm starting to look forward to it. A light flashed in Zoro's eyes when he heard this, and a strong fighting spirit burst out from his body. Go. Shajir-ching gave an order, and Anna and the others followed in his footsteps and embarked on a journey of revenge. The Dragon Pirates. In the past year, they have soared into the sky, reaching the pinnacle of their lives. From the original 10-person team, it has grown into a large pirate group of thousands of people. And the root of all this comes from the crazy carve-up activity more than a year ago. When the other pirates were afraid of Shazher Ching's power and did not dare to attack, they were the first to snatch the money. Therefore, as the first person to eat crabs, their harvest is naturally the biggest. They robbed 1.5 billion Baileys. After getting these 1.5 billion Baileys, they spent 1.2 billion to buy 3 devil fruits to enhance their strength. And the other 300 million is used to buy new ships, as well as recruiting staff and replacing equipment. In this way, in just over a year, they have grown from a pirate group with a bounty of only over 400 million to the current scale. The bounty for all members adds up to a total of 1 billion. 89 million Baileys. Captain Lilong Paji, the bounty is as high as 421 million Bailey, and his strength is not weak. It is no exaggeration to call the fierce dragon pirates that he leads one of the most powerful pirates in the first half of the Great Route. After all, except for Shichibukai he didn't provoke. The rest of the powerful pirate groups in the first half of the Great Route have been provoked by almost all of them, and they have also achieved a lot of good results. They even have a faint sign of becoming an alternate Shichibukai, the most famous pirate group in the first half of today's Great Route. In addition to the original Thunder Hunter, he is the fastest rising dragon Paji. After all, just over a year ago, his bounty was only 188 million Bailey. He spent 12 years on this bounty. And now, the fierce dragon pirates are having a banquet, which is extremely lively. Ha ha ha, the captain is wise and courageous. If we hesitated at the beginning, how could we have achieved this kind of achievement? Yes, looking at the cowardice of the Goshawk pirates, the more I feel that the captain is really too wise. The crew constantly touted Lilong Pudge, as if he had regarded him as a god. Ha ha ha, everyone is too famous, I just made the right choice at the right time. Lilong Paji, a middle-aged man who looks very elegant, you can't even imagine that he will be a pirate. Captain Lilong Paji is too modest. Without your choice, we would not be where we are today. Yes, you see so many pirates in this sea, only you dare to make a choice first, you are a real hero. But obviously, Lilong Paji's pretending to be modest is naturally more boasting in exchange. Lilong Paji heard the smile on his face even more intense. His face really can be described as red face. Chapter 187 Shazher Ching, come. Long Pudge, what a nice name. But from today, your good days are over. At this time, a very unpleasant voice came over, destroying the atmosphere of the scene. Which guy who doesn't know what to do, dares to speak madly, stand up for me, and see that my leopard-headed mat doesn't cut you off. At the moment when the smile on Lilong Paji's face froze, a sturdy-looking man under him stood up with a huge mace and roared angrily. I don't know what to say, but I just came to you to take back a little something. The voice came again, but a young man suddenly appeared on their flag. This young man is quite young, wearing a slim suit with blue and purple flowing fire patterns on a white background, and a long knife with purple flowing fire patterns on his waist. Broken hair, squinting eyes, doesn't look like a threat at all. And the sky above Lilong Paji and the others suddenly became dark, and a going boat pressed down. Seeing this going boat, Lilong Paji's body couldn't help shivering, and suddenly stood up. On the entire sea, there seems to be only one pirate group riding a going boat. You are Thunder Hunter Natsu. Lilong Paji said to the young man with some uncertainty. But his words made all the pirates on the island startled, and they all looked at the young man. Hearing the words of Lilong Paji, a hint of surprise flashed in the young man's eyes. He said, "Oh, I didn't expect you to know me." "Yes, I am Nachi, the one who was robbed of 1.5 billion Bailey by you, the former owner of the Summer Chamber of Commerce, the Thunder Hunter Nachi." Yes, this young man in white is Shazher Ching. He opened his eyes, blood-red eyes, as shocking as blood. Hi. It was at the moment when Shazher Ching admitted his identity, the pirate group that had been extremely noisy suddenly quieted down. Everyone looked at Shajirching in horror, swallowed, and sweat broke out on their foreheads. "Captain, what are you talking about? Let's start quickly. These guys, I've long been disliked by them." It was at this moment that another lazy and surly voice came. "I saw a man with extremely fair skin, wearing bloomers, holding a going staff, and carrying 4 thunder drums on his shoulders, falling from the sky. Terrifying thunder and lightning lingered around him, his eyes like a god, contempt for the audience. It was as if he was a real god. Thor Enel, the bounty is 315 million Bailey." Someone couldn't help but exclaimed in a low voice. "The dragon pirates. Humph, it's been a long time." Another voice came from the sky, but it was an extremely cold female voice. Everyone couldn't help but look again, but they saw a woman like a fairy, with a lonely face, stepping on an arrogant mud dragon, and slowly fell in front of them. "Daughter of the mudslide, a bounty of 278 million Bailey." Looking at this woman, Lilong Paji rarely said aloud, and his tone was all solemn. "Meet again, Lilong Paji." The person who landed in front of everyone was naturally Anna. Her eyes swept around the body of the dragon pirates, and then she smiled. "Today is your day of death." Chapter 188 Conqueror Hockey. Then, behind her, Zoro, Daz Bones, and Gilzer all landed. "Quickly kill Daz Bones, with a bounty of 88 million Baileys." "Pirate Hunter Roranoa, Zoro, with a bounty of 15 million Baileys." "It's really a bunch of amazing guys." Paji looked at Shajirching and the others, his eyes became very dangerous. However, he is not flustered. Just a few people is not enough. "Thunder Hunter, why, only brought so many people here? I'm afraid that so many people won't be able to take what you want." Just after Pudge finished speaking, behind him, a large group of pirates with weapons suddenly appeared, surrounding Shajirching and the others. There are at least 2,000 people in the crowded area. Gia, Thunder Hunter, these people are all my capable subordinates, just 6 of you, I'm afraid it's not enough." Pudge looked at Shajirching proudly and said with a smile. After he finished speaking, the cadres behind him also burst into laughter. With disdainful sneers on their faces, they said, "The gap is too obvious, Thunder Hunter, you have no chance of winning at all. Surrender now, I can do it a little more, Lady of the Mud Stream." Someone swept around Anna's body with malicious eyes. Hearing this, Shajirching couldn't help laughing. The crowd tactics are really scary, this is a desperate gap. After he finished speaking, he glanced at Enel, Anna and the others again, and said, "In this case, we can only choose to face the fear." With that said, he took a step towards the 2,000 pirates who surrounded them. After all, the best way to get rid of fear is to face it. After Shajirching finished speaking like a poem, she raised her hand and said to the 2,000 pirates, "Come on, everyone, let me see what you are capable of. Arrogant guy. Let you know how good I am." Shajirching fought alone, and his arrogant tone instantly made 2,000 pirates angry. They all roared and rushed towards Shajirching, to let Shajirching know their power. "Are you arrogant? It's a long-lost term." After he finished speaking, his eyes glared at Vivi, and the 3-hook jade writing wheel eyes turned extremely fast, saying, "Overlord." Mental shock. As soon as I heard a sound, a terrifying and domineering wave erupted, causing the surrounding scenery to lose its color. And those pirates who rushed over only felt an unimaginable terrifying shock rushing into their brains, making their consciousness blurred instantly. Then, all fell powerless. In that instant, 2,000 pirates all fell down and were killed in seconds without the ability to fight back. Even behind Pudge, many powerful pirates have fallen. The rest of the people who didn't fall, their bodies trembled, their faces were pale, and they had infinite fear of Shajirching in their hearts. Gollum. Pudge couldn't help shivering, his arms trembled and he swallowed. He looked at the 2,000 elite subordinates who were directly killed in seconds, and his face was horrified. He looked at Shajur-Ching with a calm face, and felt the unprecedented pressure hit. At this moment, let alone Pudge, even Enel and the others couldn't help but look at Shajur-Ching in horror. Chapter 189 Two Punches Down. It's so strong, and it has solved more than 2,000 people in an instant. What happened just now? How did it all fall down in an instant? Mr. Natsu, how strong is he now? Enel and the others looked at Shajur-Ching, and they couldn't be more surprised. I haven't seen each other for a year and a half, how could Shajur-Ching become so tyrannical? Really scary. Long Paji, now, do you still think you have any advantages? Shajur-Ching looked at Pudge, showed a smile and said. During his more than 1 year on Four Seasons Island, he learned a lot. Conqueror Hockey, just one of them. You. Facing Shajur-Ching's smile, Pudge couldn't help but take a step back again. Then, he gritted his teeth and roared, stop being arrogant and let you know how powerful I am. Kill me all. After speaking, he roared and turned into a dinosaur, sticking out a huge head, bursting the air and biting it. Zone ability person. Interesting, then let me see your strength. Shajur-Ching clenched his palm into a fist, and armament hockey covered it, and it was also a punch, and the air burst directly. Boom. One person and one dragon collided heavily. But what is shocking is that the 5-meter-tall dinosaur that Pudge transformed into was repelled by Shajur-Ching with a punch. Is that only so much power? Shajur-Ching swooned close, and landed another punch, then it seems that your journey ends here. PFF'd. Paji had no resistance at all, and was smashed into the ground by Shajur-Ching with a punch, and his eyes were turned white, and he passed out. Lord Pudge. Seeing this scene, all the pirates under Pudge couldn't help but be shocked and couldn't believe what they saw. That's a big pirate with a bounty of 421 million Baileys, how come Shajur-Ching didn't even survive 3 moves? How strong is Shajur-Ching now? Hey, it seems that over the past year and a half, Lord Nachi has put in a lot of effort. If that's the case, then we have to solve the opponent quickly. When Enel saw this scene, he became a little more serious about his skills. Countercurrent Dragon. Compared to Enel's lack of seriousness, Anna almost took advantage of the crushing advantage, and brutally crushed the enemy into a mess. One knife flow. Lion Song Song. Zoro seemed to turn into a ghost in an instant, brushed past his opponent, and then, withdrew his sword and stood up. The next moment, his opponent, the pirate with a bounty of more than 100 million, suddenly burst out with terrifying blood and fell to the ground. PFF'd. Just after Zoro solved the opponent, Daz Bones, a sword wave, also ended the battle with the opponent. Era, it looks like I'm going to end the fight soon. The battle of the rest of the people I saw has ended, and they have gone to find the second wave of enemies. Enel disappeared in an instant, and then appeared behind the opponent. He reached out and crossed his index fingers and said, 50 million volts. Discharge. Enel's enemy, who didn't even have a chance to react, fell down in a scream. Then, next, it's you. Shajur-Ching pulled out the fire from his waist, and looked at the panicked pirates around, showing an extremely cold smile. You don't come here. Ah. Chapter 190 Rubus is desperate. It only took 1 hour to destroy the dragon pirates. Shajur-Ching removed the blood from the knife, put it away, and said, let's go, take away their treasures. There are also these bounty criminals, all of which are money that can move around, which can be used as our startup capital. An LT, P and GT. Yes. As soon as Anna heard the words, she opened up her abilities and covered all the defeated pirates with a bounty of at least 70 million Baileys. These people can all be redeemed for bounties. Next, who? Shajur-Ching looked at Anna and asked. The Great Sword Pirates. Anna, of course, what Shajur-Ching asked, she answered fluently. The Great Sword Pirates. Enjoy your last piece. Shajur-Ching said in her heart after listening to it. If you dare to take our things, you will pay with your life. Not everyone can take the things from our summer chamber of commerce. Anna continued, it was extremely cold. Of course. Shajur-Ching's mouth twitched into a smile, it was a slaughtering smile. Great sword pirates. Just when Natsumi Yang and the two were discussing this matter, the great sword Lupus suddenly shuddered. This feeling is completely unreasonable, and he suddenly has an ominous premonition. This feeling is something important happening. Or is it just my delusion? Rubus stood up and began to feel uneasy in his heart, as if he would be unlucky soon. Could it be the guy came back for revenge? Lupus suddenly thought of Shajur-Ching's face, and he couldn't help but shudder. Impossible, that guy has disappeared for more than a year. If he was alive, he should have come out long ago. Daijin comforted himself again and said. He didn't want to believe that Shajur-Ching happened again. That means, he will be unlucky, bad luck. No, definitely not. The great sword Lupus comforted himself like this in his heart. Back then, at the Summer Chamber of Commerce, he grabbed a full 1.4 billion, which was only tens of millions less than Lilong Paji. If Shajur-Ching really appeared, then he was definitely dead. Rubus is a prudent man. After having this feeling, he quickly asked his subordinates to strengthen their vigilance, only in this way can he feel at ease. After waiting for 3 days in a row, he did not wait for the news of Shajur-Ching and others, and Lupus finally breathed a sigh of relief. It seems to be my delusion, I'll just say, Shajur-Ching is already dead, how could he appear here and come to trouble me? At the beginning, I only confirmed that he was dead, and this was the beginning of the Summer Chamber of Commerce. How could Shajur-Ching appear? How could it be possible? Rubus was relieved, completely relieved. But just when he was completely relieved and began to enjoy the life of the emperor, the appearance of a going boat and the young man who got off the going boat made Rubus completely plunged into despair. Natsu the Thunder Hunter, you are still alive. How is this possible? Rubus only felt that his heavenly spirit cover was cold, and the whole person fell directly into the ice cellar, falling into endless despair. Great Sword Lupus, Bounty 358 million Bailey, First Meeting, Thunder Hunter, Natsu. Shajur-Ching smiled and looked at the pale Rubus, and introduced himself very politely. Chapter 191 I am so disappointed. You are still alive. Looking at Shajur-Ching, Lupus couldn't speak clearly, and he was completely surrounded by endless fear. He never felt that he could fight against Shajur-Ching, he was very measured to his own strength. Let him fight Shajur-Ching, he has no chance of winning. Why, you're surprised that I'm still alive? Looking at Rubus with a look of fear, Shajur-Ching showed a very playful smile. He said, anyway, it's also a big pirate with a bounty of more than 300 million. Be confident, you are not at the level of a big pirate who is half 100 million. Ha ha ha, be more confident. How can you make me confident? You are a big pirate with a bounty of nearly 800 million. The strength gap between us is as far away as a moat. In front of you, I'm just an ant. Rupees heard the bleak issue, and laughed extremely mockingly. How do you know if you don't try? Shajur-Ching stepped forward and continued, anyway, I have no intention of letting you go today. Can't you really spare my life? Do you really want to do this? Hearing Shajur-Ching's words, Lupus, who was still begging for mercy, suddenly turned gloomy. He is just showing weakness. Does Shajur-Ching really think he is easy to bully? Of course. Shajur-Ching's answer was extremely succinct, without the slightest pause or delay. HMPH, do you really think I'm made of mud? Well, then let me experience how powerful the 700 million pirates are. Kill me, little ones. Rubus gave an order, and his subordinates, who had long been very angry because of Shajur-Ching's words, rushed over like a galloping horse. It's over to you, Enel. Shajur-Ching said to Enel and the others behind him, and turned into a phantom, smashed through the crowd, and rushed in front of Rubus. Lupus, you have to fight seriously next. Not serious, but you will die. Shajur-Ching pulled out the fire and slashed down with a sword, saying, "I heard that you are a master swordsman. Come on, let me see your level. Then let you take a good look at my level, you bastard." Lupus is a tall and thin man. He pulled out the big steel sword behind him like a shield, and he broke out with a terrifying sword intent and slashed away fiercely. Bang! Don't look at Rubus, mouth saying that he is afraid of Shajur-Ching. His strength is really not bad, and he only took 2 steps back against Shajur-Ching with a sword. Come again. Shajur-Ching deceived himself again, and his sword seemed to sway the earth, slashing away. Damn, how can there be such a strong power? Rubus gritted his teeth and crossed the sword again, and the sword intent on his body became even more tyrannical. PFF'd. Lupus spurted out a mouthful of blood, and was actually knocked back by Shajur-Ching with a sword shock and retreated nearly 50 meters, plowing out a long scratch on the ground. Damn, how can it be so strong? Xingyu slash. Rubus shouted, his sword intent was threatening, and he chopped out a sword wave wrapped in bright stars, tearing the earth apart and attacking Shajur-Ching. PFF'd. But Shajur-Ching just swung out an ordinary sword, and there was a terrifying burst out, and the sword wave was directly torn apart. Is it only so much? Shajur-Ching deceived himself again, and slashed out again with a sword, which quickly made Rubus desperate, and it was too late to react. Chapter 192 The Great Root is Boiling. PFF'd. No matter where Rubus could stand, he was blasted out violently, spitting up blood. It seems that the swordsman mantis on that island is more powerful. At least, they can meet me for a day and a night, making me happy. Shajur-Ching, shaved, appeared in front of Lupus again, and pierced his chest with a sword. Rubus' strength made him feel like he was happy for nothing. He also thought that Rubus was very strong. Hey, Lord Natsu, it's too much for you to find a 300 million pirate to try the sword. Don't look at it. In the first half of this great route, who can resist your monster-like power? Hearing this, Enno, who was fighting, couldn't help rolling his eyes and said quite speechlessly. Just a few days ago, he had a battle with Shajur-Ching, but this time, he was almost completely suppressed by Shajur-Ching. Completely downwind. That's right, Mr. Natsu, you're the one who wiped out a terrifying existence like Droughtjack. Even he can't resist your power. Do you expect a mere 300 million pirates to make you happy? Gilzer couldn't help but complain. Shajur-Ching is simply going to Xingxing village to abuse vegetables with a full rank. This kind of coercive behavior will be condemned and taught to be a human being in the new world. Captain. Damn, how can it be so strong? The entire Great Sword Pirates, from the very beginning of the small battle, fell into despair. Enno's strength is too strong. Strong enough that they are not serious at all. It is enough to make the cadres of the Great Sword Pirates fall into despair. There may be only Zoro and Daz Bones, and there will be a little resistance in the face of the enemy. Have you grown to this point in a year, Roranoa? Zoro, the progress is really fast. Natsumi Yang was standing next to the severely injured Rubus, looking at Zoro, who was colliding with the enemy just like a tiger, and a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth, saying, "In just 1 year, he has stepped from the realm of the swordsman to the realm of the swordsman, and it seems that his attainments are not low. You should already have the strength you had when you landed on Sabayati Archipelago in the original book. Of course, it's the level of collectively defeating the pacifists 2 years ago, not the level that will be unremarkable 2 years later." An hour later. The battle is over, all members of the Great Sword Pirates have been captured. All their treasures were looted by Anna. The next target, the Gale Pirates. Anna announced the name of the next target pirates. Let's go then. Shajur-Ching was not moved at all, Ling Dao. On this day, the first half of the Great Route, which was originally calm, suddenly became turbulent. As for why? That is of course because in the first half of the Great Route, the captains of the pirate regiments with bounties exceeding 100 million are all disappearing. The captain of the Lilong Pirates, Lilong Paji, is missing. The captain of the Great Sword Pirates, Great Sword Lupus, is missing. The captain of the Gale Pirates, Gale Sword Sek, is missing. But in just 1 week, 12 pirate groups disappeared one after another in the first half of the Great Route. You know, these missing pirate captains are big pirates with a bounty of over 100 million. It is the 12 strongest pirate groups that have risen rapidly in the first half of the Great Route for more than a year. They ruled almost the entire first half of the Great Route. Powerful, suffocating. Chapter 193. You finally came out to find death. On weekdays, they are the big men who can make the entire kingdom in the first half of the Great Route change. But now, all of them suddenly disappeared like this. How can this not be scary? The pirates in the first half of the Great Route were all panicked. Especially those pirates whose bounty is close to 100 million, for fear that the next one will be themselves. All the pirates suddenly began to act cautiously. The daring people even logged into the 12 spheres of influence to check the situation. In addition to a pile of ruins and dark red blood clots on the island that I saw, there was also a flag fluttering in the wind. It was a blood-red bottom and a banner of a golden sun. This flag made the pirates who landed on the island widen their eyes in disbelief. Then, the same word popped into their minds at the same time: Summer Chamber of Commerce, has it reappeared? Although a year has passed, no one will ever forget the name represented by this flag. After all, that was more than a year ago, the most dazzling new star in the first half of the entire Great Route. That is a big pirate group with a bounty of nearly 2 billion. And the captain's bounty is as high as 790 million Bailey. Even many pirates of the New World are eclipsed in front of him. Natsu the Thunder Hunter, is that man back? Office of Marshal Marineford. Sengoku looked at the newspaper on the table. Vivi couldn't help squinting and fell into deep thought. In the newspaper I saw, a big headline was, "Super shocking. Thunder Hunter reappears in the sea. Very striking. The sea is about to make waves again." An incomparably sharp light flashed in Sengoku's eyes, and he said in a low voice, "I am so anxious to show up. I wonder if you are ready to deal with the attack of Drought Jack." He looked at a reward order beside him and said, "That's a bounty with a portrait of Drought Jack. The bounty below is 899 million Bailey. If not, maybe Jack can help us with your instability. Of course, if even Jack can't, then we should really pay attention to you. There are so many similarities between you and the deceased Shui Tong Shajirqing. I heard the news of your present life. The Whitebeard pirates should have taken action. After all, Whitebeard will not easily forgive you for the revenge of murder." The news of Shajirqing's appearance soon spread from the first half of the Great Route to the New World. "Thunder Hunter, you finally showed up." The headquarters of the Four Emperors Kaido, above the Ghost Island, suddenly heard an excited roar. Then, I saw a 10-meter-tall mammoth, which directly broke through the wall and rushed to the port. The entire Ghost Island was trampled by this mammoth. And behind the mammoth, there are 12 different forms of orcs. "Lord Jack, wait for us, you are running too fast." Hold'em with the head of the lion shouted to the mammoth in front. Yes, who else could a mammoth be except Jack? He was the only one who would show such an excited look when he heard the news of Shajirqing. However, Shajirqing has no time to pay attention to Jack now. They have people who must take revenge. Thanks to you, the system is still being repaired. The power has been closed for more than a year, and I almost died at sea. It's been over a year. I wonder if you are ready to meet us. Joker. Shamuyang looked at the sea in the distance, and a sharp light flashed in his eyes. Chapter 194. Today is your day of death. New World, Dressrosa. Fufufu, I don't know why the Thunder Hunter suddenly came. It's not good to hurt so many of my subordinates. Looking at Shajirqing with a fierce face, Doflamingo showed a reckless smile. His subordinates are lined up behind him. Doflamingo, it's finally here, you know. I've been waiting for this day for over a year. Shajirqing looked at Doflamingo. He had already pulled out the fire, and his body was full of sword intent. That's a coincidence. so am I. Thunder Hunter. Hearing Shajur-Ching's words, Doflamingo also laughed, extremely arrogant, and then he instantly bullied himself in front of Shajur-Ching. 5 color lines. When Doflamingo opened his hand, he was slashed by 5 incomparably sharp steel wires, with the strength to cut everything. Shajur-Ching suddenly drew his sword and fought away, with awe-inspiring murderous intent. Bang! The next moment, the earth exploded directly, and the rumble was trembling. A lot stronger, Doflamingo. Shajur-Ching raised his head and looked at Doflamingo, and when he lifted his leg, an extremely fierce sword wave shot out. Foot shave. Doflamingo also raised his foot and attacked boldly, tearing the sword wave apart, and he also took advantage of this opportunity to dodge out. Foo. I haven't seen it for more than a year, but my strength, concentration, and reaction have all gotten a lot faster. Doflamingo looked at Shajur-Ching and said with a stern smile. You are the same, Doflamingo, the use of power and ability is very proficient. Shamuyang squinted his eyes, holding the knife in front of him. His voice changed abruptly, however, this still won't change your fate of defeat today. HMPH, I am really confident, then let me see if you can get out of this Dressrosa successfully today. Pika, Diamante, let's go. Doflamingo issued an attack order to the most powerful top cadres behind him. After that, Doflamingo rushed towards Shajur-Ching like a leopard. Bang! The two slammed into each other fiercely, and the momentum was terrifying. Gia, die! Pika was the happiest when she got the order, and immediately drew her sword and rushed towards Enel and the others. HMPH, do you want to challenge the majesty of God? Then let me see if your strength is qualified for this. Faced with Pika's shrill voice rushing over, when Enel was about to make a move, Anna had already rushed out one step ahead of him. Pika the rock fruit ability, I wanted to fight with you a long time ago. It seems that I can do it today. Don't let me down. Anna of the mud fruit, and Pika of the rock fruit, I really think it's interesting to think about it. If that's the case, then my target is you, Aboriginal man. Enel's eyes turned to another senior cadre beside Doflamingo, Diamante. He has 2 facial lines on his face, he wears a cape, and he looks like a middle-aged man from an indigenous tribe. He has the ability to fly fruit, and at the same time, he is also a swordsman. Then, it seems that our opponents are you. Zoro, Daz Bones, Gills, and some other powerhouses recruited by the Summer Chamber of Commerce, looked at Torapal and the high-level combat power of his subordinates, as well as the high-level combat power of Pika and Diamante. Chapter 195 Their tough opponents. We don't seem to have an advantage in terms of numbers, which is really tingling. Next to Gills, a woman who was recruited by Anna spoke up. Her skin was wheat-colored, and she was carrying a knife that was bigger than her height. She was about 30 years old, and her name was Hulina. When it was recruited a year ago, the bounty had already reached 97 million Baileys. She is from the New World, and I heard that she ran from some powerful country. It's really exciting, so many powerful enemies make the Loon family so scared. A man who was obviously a man, but was dressed in a pink swan and painted with powder, said in a ballet dance. You said so, Zoro-chan. This man suddenly came to Zoro, and his smooth palm touched Zoro's face, with a sweet tone. Bentham, if you touch my face again and dance in front of me, I'll slash you. Zoro couldn't help but shivered, goosebumps all over his body, and he roared fiercely at Bentham. Yes, this man dressed as a swan is one of Crocodile's subordinates in the original book, Bentham codenamed Mr. 2. Giggle, calm down, we are the enemy now. If we fail, Mrs. Anna won't let you go. Another woman's voice came, and a very young woman came over with a cup of coffee, bringing a strong fragrance. Dia, I didn't expect to meet you here, what a coincidence. Looking at this woman, Monet behind Doflamingo suddenly showed a look of dread and said. Haha, Monet, it's been a long time since no one called me Didia. I've heard the name Steamed Dangerous Girl for a long time, and I forgot my original name. The woman holding the coffee looked at Monet, the snow girl, and showed a smile that she missed. Where is all the nonsense coming from? You guys, enlighten me. Come on. Looking at Bentham, Didier and the others didn't pay attention to them at all, and even started fighting there. Toripal, one of the top cadres, felt that he and others were underestimated, and immediately gave an order. You dare to challenge our Don Quixote family? You young people really have a long life. In that case, let the old man come to make you regret it. Lao Ji, one of Diamante's subordinates with the highest combat power, rushed over with a smile. It's Lao Menquan Lao Ji, it's a powerful being, I'm coming. Seeing Lao Ji rushing over, Daz Bones rushed out immediately. Lao Ji, on the way here, is one of the characters that Shazher Ching specially instructed to pay attention to. He is dangerous. As threatening as his immediate boss Diamante, maybe even stronger. Then let's go to Snowgirl Monet and Childhood Queen Sugar. Leave it to me, I have dealt with them, and I know their ways. After saying that, Didier rushed over, not giving Zoro, Gills and the others a chance to promise. Everyone likes to mess around. Seeing this scene, Gills couldn't help shaking his head, rather helpless. Then, with a condensed gaze, he opened the big box he was carrying. Inside, there was actually a pair of silver white armor. Chapter 196. You have a good group of minions. Armed. With Gills's order, the armor turned out to be like life, and quickly attached to his body, turning him into a steel warrior in an instant. So, are you my opponents? Gills looked at Gladius, the bomber, Baby 5, and Buffalo, who stood in front of him. What an impatient young man, this power is really not small. Hulina held the big knife and blocked the fighting lunatic who was charging towards him, Dellinger, who was half Duyu blood. We don't seem to have a choice either. Peizaru, Zoro, Bentham 3 looked at one of the top cadres in front of them, the sticky fruit ability, Toripal. As well as his Violet, Jorah, Diamante's subordinate Senor Peak, Mar Baiz, all showed extremely solemn expressions. After all, the opponent has a top cadre. Even if Shazher Ching had told them that Toripal's strength was much weaker than that of Pika and Diamante. But after all, it is the top cadre, so it should not be underestimated. Fufufu, you guy, you really have a group of amazing friends. Doflamingo's voice suddenly came, and he saw a black mark on his chest. And Shazher Ching, who is opposite him, also has a hole that is bleeding. It's the same with you, you have a group of amazing men. But I'm sorry, the final winner of today's battle will definitely be me. Shazher Ching was surrounded by terrifying thunder and lightning, and said confidently. Furfur, I am really curious, where does your self-confidence come from? When Doflamingo heard this, a ferocious blue vein spread out on his forehead instantly, and his tone became even more severe. Shazher Ching's words meant that he clearly said that his subordinates were not good. Of course it's confidence in our own absolute strength. Shazher Ching rushed in front of Doflamingo like a phantom, and a terrifying sword wave was split with one sword. Doflamingo immediately grabbed the rogue down line, and ran away. Little devil, don't be too arrogant, I haven't been idle this year. Doflamingo kicked out the foot shaving line, and fought against Shazher Ching, who was charging again. Bounce. Facing Shazher Ching's head, he shot out an extremely fast steel wire. Bang. Shazher Ching immediately stepped back and waved his sword to fight, but at the same time as he stepped back, he raised his foot, and several sword waves wrapped in thunder and lightning attacked. It's getting tougher than it was 2 years ago, you guy. Doflamingo pushed behind him and shouted, the spider web wall. There was a huge cobweb-like wall blocking these sword waves. Bang. Bang. Crack. But to Doflamingo's horror, the cobweb wall made an overwhelmed sound. Doflamingo, where did your attention go? At this time, Shazherqing's voice came from behind Doflamingo, and he couldn't help but be startled, only to see Shazherqing stab at it. More than a whip. He immediately reached out and stretched out a terrifying whip to stop Shazherqing. Hey! However, Shazherqing disappeared into Doflamingo's attack range before this extremely fast attack reached him. Chapter 197 This is your dumbest decision. Where? Doflamingo couldn't help being surprised, and Observation Hockey immediately released it with all his strength. Found you. Immediately, Doflamingo sensed a sharp breath coming from in front of him, and when he was about to shoot, he heard Shazherqing say, Overlord. Spiritual shock. A gigantic wave rushed into Doflamingo's soul abruptly. The domineering and majestic aura made him tremble. But the next second, he was angry. He is Tenryubito, the King Joker of the underground forces, the owner of Conqueror Hockey, Don Quixote. Doflamingo. How could he be intimidated by someone else's Conqueror Hockey? But, by the time he reacted, it was already too late. PFF'd. The black blade pierced his body and pierced his heart. And without giving him a chance to break free, the terrifying thunder and lightning made him fall into an extremely painful trauma in an instant. Asshole. Doflamingo looked at Shazherqing who was in front of him and wanted to raise his hand to attack. However, Shazherqing stretched out his index finger again, exuding a fierce, Shigan finger pistol breath, stabbing at his heart. Armed. Doflamingo can only let go of the idea of repairing his heart with the wire first, covering Armament Hockey with his arm to block the blow. Bang. But the power of Shazherqing's finger was beyond Doflamingo's imagination. Even if it was covered with Armament Hockey, it still made him feel that his blood was violently churning, and he was pushed back. Chidori Spear. Shazherqing formed the seal at a very high speed, and a thunder gun that ripped through the air stabbed again at a high speed while Doflamingo was watching. Little devil, don't be too arrogant to me. Doflamingo drank violently, endured the surging chi and blood, and roared wildly, Super Strike Whip. Boom. This Super Strike Whip is much stronger than the power of the whip, and its power can cut a building very easily. Fast and powerful. The moment the thunder gun collided with it, the sky exploded with thunder and lightning, and the terrifying force caused the ground to burst. The dust that was raised even made Vivi obstruct the sight of the two. Doflamingo, heart attack, blood loss, seems to have slowed your concentration. Shazherqing actually appeared in front of Doflamingo again in an instant, with the thunder and lightning that screamed in his right hand. Chidori. With such a low voice, in Doflamingo's rapidly dilated pupils, he stabbed his heart again. PFF'd. Doflamingo's face was suddenly filled with pain, and his chest was pierced again. Little devil, you really pissed me off. With this blow, Doflamingo just avoided the heart. He angrily reached out and grabbed Shazherqing directly, shouting, Parasitic thread. A feeling of being manipulated, Shazherqing suddenly shouted bad. His thinking was seriously disturbed, and no defensive measures could be taken. This means that he will become Doflamingo's puppet, a doll he plays with. Little devil, getting close to me must be the stupidest thing you've ever done in your life. Doflamingo gave a savage shout, and the palm of his hand was an incomparably razor-sharp whip that shot out from the palm of his hand. PFF'd. Without giving Shazherqing a chance to react at all, his chest was pierced fiercely. Chapter 198 Warm-up is over. Drop the rogue line. Doflamingo kicked Shazherqing out with one kick, and then waved 5 steel wires that fell from the sky, pinning Shazherqing to the ground ruthlessly. Furfur, kid, know how good I am. Before Doflamingo could finish his sentence, another long black knife stretched out from his chest. PFF'd. Shazherqing, who pierced through Doflamingo's body from behind, didn't have time to be proud. His chest was pierced unexpectedly. Behind him, another Doflamingo appeared. Shadow Ride. Doflamingo, who was seriously injured, immediately broke free from Shazherqing's long knife and quickly retreated. He hummed proudly and said, "It's not your patent to fight with clones, Thunder Hunter." He stretched out his hand to hold down the wound, and there were countless lines moving in it, and he began to repair his injury. It's really hard to fight wild geese all day long, but in the end, the geese pecked at the eyes. I forgot that you also have the ability to clone. Shajirching broke free with the avatar seal and looked at the two Doflamingo with an even more joyful look on her face. The corners of his mouth twitched in meaning and said, "But it's more interesting, isn't it? The warm-up is over, kid. Next, the main event, you have to hold on and don't die. You are about to see my progress over the past year, and it is really thanks to you that I have reached my current level of awakening a few years earlier." The ground under his feet began to turn into silk threads and began to spread rapidly. Is it the main event? Hee, just right, that's what I mean too. Shajirching's breathing was a little short. A hole was opened in his chest. He didn't have the ability to repair himself like Doflamingo. Therefore, he must fight quickly. Back. The surrounding buildings are beginning to turn white lines. At this moment, whether it was Enel and others, or Pika and others, they all chose to stay away from these two. Even Shajirching stepped on the moon step and floated in the air. He is very clear about how strong the awakening state of the thread fruit is. Kid, I'll let you know what a bad decision it was to come here. Almost 15 seconds after Pika and the others left, the top floor of the palace they were in had completely turned into a sea of white lines. Do you think it's safe to stand in the air? Little devil, use your energy giant, otherwise, you will die miserably. Doflamingo shouted at Shajirching. To deal with you, you don't need to use that trick. If he could, why would Shajirching not want to open it, but the point is, he can't. The repair time of the system is beyond his imagination. Until now, the progress has only reached 85%. There is still 15% progress. According to his estimation, it may take another month or two. HMPH, what an arrogant brat. If so, let me see what you can do. Is it enough for you to talk big? Wild waves and white lines. A large white line like a storm rushed towards Shajirching in pursuit. One shot. In the face of the terrifying white line rushing over, Shajirching actually stepped into the air and rushed directly to the white line, attacking, instead of dodging. To face this blow directly, how confident you are now. Watching this scene, Doflamingo feels like he has been underestimated again. Chapter 199. Your time has come. Land bird. Shajirching's sword intent exploded all over, and then converged into a terrifying tearing sword wave, in the shape of a bird, rising in the wind, and crashing into the white line of the desolate wave. PFF'd. This flying bird sword wave has an unimaginable terrifying tearing power, and it actually tore the white line of the barren waves directly. Open a way and let Shajirching rush in front of Doflamingo without hindrance. There is such a terrifying swordsmanship. Looking at this scene, even Doflamingo couldn't help but feel extremely frightened. Facing Shajirching, who had already rushed in front of him, he waved, shield white line. Bang! In an instant, a terrifying spark erupted, and the air was distorted. Doflamingo couldn't help but snorted. Shajirching's thrusting power was too strong. Strong enough to make him feel a little unstoppable. 1,000 arrows pierce the heart. Feather strike. Line. Doflamingo did not intend to confront Shajirching in power. As soon as he thought about it, he saw thousands of sharp long lines suddenly rise from the ground, turned into the shape of flamingo wings, and wrapped up towards Shajirching, to beat him into a sieve. PFF'd. This kind of trick is indeed powerful, but it has little effect on Shajirching, and a substitute technique can be avoided. Hey! However, just when Shajirching just appeared, behind him, there was a sharp and incomparable sound of breaking the sky. I saw that Doflamingo's avatar was already behind him, and a super strike whip attacked. Shajirching couldn't help being surprised, and quickly backed away. However, Doflamingo appeared in front of him again, and a heavy kick landed on Shajirching's chest, knocking him down quickly. Doflamingo is ferocious Isho, Uehara. Bibo. More than a dozen sharp white lines wrapped around armament Haki, attacking like lightning. Shajir-Ching, who was trampled down at an extreme speed, only felt her whole body tense, as if she were facing death. Stupid. He didn't dare to neglect, he struggled to form a surrogate seal, and at the moment when the attack was about to come, he dodged out. Little devil, do you think this is the end? But Shajir-Ching had just appeared, and the white line attack had already surrounded him in all directions. Hi! Shajir-Ching's pupils instantly shrank into needles, and he defended armament Haki without even thinking about it. Crack! Haki's coverage avoided the end of being pierced. The power contained in this white line was equally extraordinary. A cracking sound came from Shajir-Ching's chest, and he slammed it down, and he suddenly spit out a big mouthful of blood. Then, like a sandbag, the air stirred and trembled, and after drawing a white line of air, it crashed into the town hundreds of meters away. Foo-foo-foo, 1,000 arrows pierce the heart. Feather strike. Line. Seeing this, Doflamingo immediately chased away with extreme speed, and then, reaching out and grabbing, countless white lines in the shape of flamingos pierced through the air again. Little devil, welcome your death. Doflamingo shouted fiercely. Lightning armor. From the sound of the sky breaking through the sky, there was such a faint voice. Then, an unimaginably harsh sound exploded, turning into endless force, destroying everything around. Little devil, do you think this will work? Delusion. Seeing that there was an incomparably tyrannical thunderbolt bursting out of the attack center, Doflamingo smiled disdainfully. He now has the upper hand. The final victory belongs to him absolutely. Chapter 200 Heavenly Yaksha, defeat me. 16 Holy Bullets. God kills. He made the strongest move. This move has the power to penetrate everything. Even with a big mountain in front of him, he can instantly smash it into a sieve. One-shot flow. Profound meaning. Destroyed. It was at this time that Shajir-Ching's voice came again. Then, Doflamingo felt a terrifying sharp burst out, and even cut his clothes in the air, leaving small wounds on his face. Thorn. Then, Doflamingo heard a tearing sound, and the thousands of white lines that were pinched away were all broken in an instant. So what if you break free? In the face of my strongest blow, you have no chance at all. Doflamingo didn't move at all. 16 Holy Bullets. God's killing was like urging Yama, rushing towards Shajir-Ching. One-shot flow. Profound meaning. Going through the sun. Shajir-Ching's whole person seemed to be united with the sword, and the rolling sword intent erupted from his body, causing the earth to explode. And, it's still getting stronger. Cut. Shajir-Ching suddenly drank violently, like a thunderous explosion, extremely terrifying. Holding the knife in both hands, he cut out a purple sword wave that made Doflamingo's whole body tense, and collided with the 16 holy bullets that came from the attack. Boom! The surrounding earth seemed to be turned over, rumbling and shattering, and the shattered area continued to expand with the aftermath, and the sky changed color. Boom boom boom. The collision continued to erupt with more powerful fluctuations, shattering everything around it and flying out. I don't know how many screams came. In the end, it turned out to be 16 sacred bullets. God's killing was even better, directly shattering the sword wave, and rushing towards Shajir-Ching again. Thunder Hunter, suffer! Doflamingo shouted fiercely. In his eyes, Shajir-Ching was already a dead person. Death! Doflamingo, where did the confidence come from? Who knows? After hearing this, Shajir-Ching suddenly laughed. He even threw the sword horizontally, and terrifying thunder and lightning suddenly appeared all over his body. Then, he said, this move was created to break through those beasts with very thick armor on the island, and it has a terrifying penetrating power. Lay done. Flying Thunder Sword. Shajir-Ching actually kicked the top of the fiery fire hilt like a ball, and armament Haki covered it, then kicked it and rushed towards the attack coming towards him. PFF'd. The air actually blew a big hole directly, and the power was so strong that it was scary. Boom! At the moment of encounter, the earth collapsed and shattered again, and the unimaginable terrifying force continued to traumatize the earth. Next, meet your death, Doflamingo. Shajurching quickly formed a seal with both hands, and then shouted, "Lay done. Heavenly tribulation thunder punishment." Boom! In an instant, a terrifying black cloud appeared over Dressrosa, with extremely violent thunder and lightning blasting. Boom! The next moment, they all aimed at Doflamingo, and the majestic thunder and lightning with the thickness of the water tank crashed down. "Asshole, stop being arrogant." Doflamingo couldn't help gasping for a moment. He tried his best to protect himself with multiple shields and white lines.